back up to Berger, but that's it. The engine is blown up in the biggest possible way. Nigel Mansell, unfortunately, an end to his race.
Well, I would say within the next 10 minutes or quarter of an hour, he and his wife Roseanne will be making a quick exit from the circuit. A huge 200,000 crowd. Oh, look at Mansell's emotion there.
He's entitled to be upset. He's driven really, really outstandingly well today, in spite of those two potentially very dangerous setbacks.
I was just going to say, John, that Mansell will want to get away from the circuit quickly because it's going to be absolute hell getting out of here. You can see the crowd. It's absolutely vast. And the road network close to this track near Bologna, not really able to cope with it all. Berger now leading by 5.6 seconds from Patrese. We'll watch that gap. Nannini is in third spot. Prost is fourth. Piquet is fifth.
And Gerhard Berger really has now got quite a comfortable gap to Riccardo Patrese. It's going to give him a chance to catch his breath and assess the situation. He'll be talking to the team in the pits. Ron Dennis, team manager, will be saying, either come into the pits or are the tyres okay? Can you maintain that pace? He's doing a high 127s, low 128s. If you can maintain it, the tyres are in good conditions, stay out. If you're in doubt, you tell us when you want to come in. We'll be ready for you.
Talking about that two-way radio system, in fact, it is sometimes possible to monitor that. If you know the frequencies, then you can find out what they're actually saying to the car and what he's saying back.
Unfortunately, Andrew, a team like McLaren are a bit on top of all that. They keep changing their frequency, so as soon as we or somebody can lock into it, they change it. Every Grand Prix, there's a different frequency for the McLaren car to pit radio.
In the early days, they had a few problems with those radios. I remember Senna telling me that when he was driving for Lotus, suddenly he was driving around Brands Hatch and he got the caterers on and they were telling the chap where to take his sandwiches. True story. Patrese to Nannini, 8 seconds. That's the battle for second place. Patrese closer to Berger than Nannini is to Patrese. Wouldn't Riccardo Patrese love to win his third Grand Prix here in front of a home crowd? This circuit not that far from his hometown. Patrese, man who likes to collect things. He collects trains and railway trains, that is, built by a specialist German manufacturer. And he also collects watches. He's got over 40 watches. He was telling me the other evening when we had dinner together that his favourite one is a Rolex given to him by the Hong Kong entrepreneur Bob Harper, the late Bob Harper, for winning the Macau Grand Prix, which he said was quite the craziest race he's ever done. Recap on the retirements. Capelli out, Nakajima, that crash, Pirro out after a spin, Senna the puncture, Boots in the gearbox, Suzuki, not quite sure why, Gugelmin with electrical problems, Wojtek stopped, and Mansell with that blown engine. Hoping to hear from Matthew Lorenzo soon. Maybe he managed to snatch a word with Nigel Mansell. Nigel will obviously be disappointed. When you catch a driver in the pits after he's just retired, you don't always get the best quotes. That's not surprising.
Well, I don't think the quotes are going to be repeatable, frankly, after a day's work like that.
John, I just saw in the distance there Berger all locked up under braking and blue smoke coming off the tyres. Berger, Patrese, 4 seconds now the gap. Nannini is 8 seconds behind Patrese. And it's Prost and Piquet. Patrese lapping in 1:27.8. Strong race again from Jean Alesi, and there, that is the McLaren pit. Fairly relaxed, John.
Yeah, they're pretty relaxed. I think Berger's been saying that no, everything's okay. I've got control of the tyres. I can keep the thing under control. So, yeah, we're in good shape. There's the battle with Martin Donnelly and Derek Warwick. Less than a second between them, but unfortunately they got our friend Olivier Grillard in the middle of them, so Martin Donnelly may have to be a little bit careful where he chooses to pass Grillard. As you've seen throughout the weekend, Grillard has managed to get in the way of a number of people, and be ashamed to see Donnelly have to trip over Grillard in the attempt to pass him.
Prost just turned a 1:27.2 and a friendly face just appeared round the commentary box door, Stefan Johansson. Smiling, but he's not a happy man, John. You know that story.
No, he's not. Johansson was part of the Monotron Onyx team, and when the team was then bought out by Mr. Monteverdi, he found himself not driving the Onyx. I think it's all a matter of a legal court case right now, so no one's really able to say too much publicly about it.
Alan Jenkins, the car's designer, also out of that team.
Yes, it's a great shame. I'm very friendly to the people in the team before all these takeovers, so it's been a big disappointment. A little team who started up and did so well in its first year to be Mr. Grillard. He's let Berger through.
Keeps out of the way, yes. That gap closing now, I think. Now, what about Patrese? Is he going to find a way around Grillard? The man trained by René Arnoux, yes.
Yeah, the extra power the Renault V10 engine has really got him past Grillard without too much difficulty. But now it's Mr. Berger's going to see Patrese's nose and helmet in his mirrors.
Less than a second now between the pair. What a super Grand Prix this has been. Hardly a few laps have passed without a new chapter in this race. More action, more challenges we've seen. We've seen Ayrton Senna go off early. We've seen Nigel Mansell blow up. We've seen Nigel Mansell have the mother and father of all spins and recover 18 laps to the finish. And now we have a big battle for the lead between Riccardo Patrese, who is pushing hard after Gerhard Berger, looking for the third victory of his long 195 race career. He's closing, John.
Yes, he is. He's catching up all around the circuit. But of course, he ran wide coming out of the second part of the Ravazza. He made a mistake at the apex, dropped back a little bit. Obviously, Patrese has been pushing very, very hard, and just one little error like that can lose you those vital tenths and half seconds. You can see how much the gap has opened up, just that one little mistake in the Ravazza. By running wide in that corner, of course, he gets onto the part of the track that's dirty, and of course he'll pick up that dirt on his tyres, so it might take him this lap to get those tyres back to their optimum condition.
And they're just about to come up to that battle between Derek Warwick and Martin Donnelly.
Yes, it is, and Donnelly is right on the gearbox of Derek Warwick, and Derek is a hard charger. Even though his teammate's on his gearbox, he's not going to say, well, after you, mate.
Just had a note passed from Brabham to tell us that Modena's problem was the brakes locked on the car. That's an unusual fault. Brabham with the PR for the first time ever at this race, and a message from their PR into the commentary box. That's the way we like it.
This is another opportunity, I think, for Patrese to catch up to Berger, because these two Lotuses are involved in their own battle. They're fighting for their particular positions, and they may not be totally aware of where Berger is, and although there will be blue flags being waved at both of them, they may choose to ignore them. But let's have a look and see. Berger's looking down the inside. Donnelly's gone wide, let him through.
Bounced it over the curb though to do it.
Yes, he did. Berger forced his way through, but Donnelly gave way. He saw him coming, and he sacrificed position. But that's the right thing to do. When you're in that position and the leader's coming through, it is your responsibility to allow him through as easily as possible. Those two cars will close back up again. It might seem to have been to the disadvantage of Donnelly, but I think when by the time this lap's through, you'll see that Martin is actually very close again to Derek Warwick.
Now Patrese trying to find a way through.
Yeah, he's going to get him now, just coming out of the Tamborelli's shot pass on the left-hand side.
But Berger still not past Warwick.
Well, Derek May will try to use this a little bit to his advantage to open the gap between himself and his teammate Donnelly. But Derek's a good driver. He knows when to let people through. He did it there. He didn't lose time, but he let the leader go through. And that is how you let a race leader get past. At the same time, you don't lose any time.
Recap the top six: Berger, Patrese, Nannini, Prost, then Piquet. After Piquet, it's Alesi, Warwick, Donnelly, Bernard, Alliot. Larini's in 11th place. We've hardly mentioned him this race. 12th is Leto, 13th Barilla. Then after Barilla, it's Grillard running 14th and last.
Yes, Patrese now has gone through Derek Warwick, and as you can see, oh, there's smoke Now maybe it was something dirt from the side of the track. I thought I saw a little bit of puff of smoke from the back of Warwick's car. But as I said earlier, Martin Donnelly is almost back to the position he was 1 lap ago. Those two drivers did a proper and responsible job, let the leading cars get through. They can now get back to their battle, and they've done nothing to disturb the excitement at the front of the field.
I think Berger gained a little advantage there. The gap now 2.975 seconds, almost 3 seconds gap. Patrese last lap was 1:29. Berger's last lap 1:27.9. Warwick and Donnelly, remember, fighting over 7th spot.
And Martin Donnelly having a little look up the inside, coming up the hill with Derek Warwick, but he's on the wrong part of the track, I would say. Not quite far enough up to take the position from his teammate Derek Warwick.
Very good drive from Martin Donnelly, very inexperienced. Remember, he didn't even start in Phoenix, so actually it's only his 3rd Grand Prix, because he did drive in the French Grand Prix last year, standing in for Derek Warwick, of course, at Arrows at that time. And I think, John, you're very impressed with him.
Oh, indeed. I mean, I think everybody in motor racing is very impressed with him. The two guys that shone in Formula 3000 last year were undoubtedly Jean Alesi and Martin Donnelly. We've got many more young drivers. Eric Bernard has come through into Formula 1 this year. Another young Frenchman, Eric Comas, is in 3000, and hopefully we'll see him coming into Formula 1 before the next season is through.
The car just droning past the commentary box with a broken exhaust. Didn't quite catch who it was. There's Patrese. The gap now back down to 2 seconds, just a fraction over 2 seconds. Patrese putting in a quicker lap that time than Berger. Nannini 3rd.
Fairly lonely Alan Prost, not really having an exhilarating race. He had a pit stop, put on fresh tyres, but I think he's got some problems, and really running in 4th place, not in a position to challenge Nannini and Piquet 17 seconds behind him. So really I think he's just running to the end and looking forward to going to Monte Carlo, where really he is a bit of a master.
Let's take a look at those retirements now. Nakajima, of course, crashed. Capelli spun out, Pirro spun off. Senna had that puncture. Modena with a brake problem. Boutsen with a gearbox. Suzuki, he's out. Wojtek stopped. And Mansell, of course, with a blown engine. And now we've got Matthew Lorenzo, who does finally have a report from the pits on Nigel Mansell's problem. Matthew.
Thanks, Andrew. Just spoken to Nigel Mansell. He's on his way to the helicopter. He said he has never been as disappointed as he is at this moment. And it's not so much his retirement, it's the incident with Gerhard Berger that's on his mind.
Pretty wound up about that then, was he, Matthew?
He said he is a friend of Berger's and he raced with him for a year and he's glad that everybody saw what happened. He said they were doing 195 miles an hour and he says Berger pushed him off the track.
Certainly how John Watson read it. Matthew Lorenzo in the pits, thanks for that report. Back to the racetrack with Berger leading from Patrese, Nannini and Prost. There's Donnelly.
And these two are still fighting away. Donnelly going left and right to try and find Warwick, but Nannini in 3rd place is trying to lap these two guys. But at this part of the track, he's going to have to wait. They're so engrossed in their battle. But really, this is quite exciting stuff. He's gone down the inside. Let's hope he hasn't overshot his braking. He took the not a very good line into the corner, but got past Martin Donnelly. But now he's got to catch up behind Derek Warwick. That manoeuvre, he got a little bit of dirt on his tyres. You could see that he was a little bit more cautious through the Acqua Minerale than moment he would have been. But now the tyres should have cleaned up again and he's off and running and continue his pace in 3rd spot.
Nannini having a very good race in 3rd spot. So a fascinating down to 0.4 of a second. John, a terrific race here at Imola.
Yes, it is. It's a race really of strategy and traffic and the use of traffic and the way that each driver has been trying to maintain the tyre performance, not overdrive the tyres, not spoil the chance of going through the race without a pit stop.
Well, they see the battle between Nannini and Prost with Derek Warwick between them. Warwick locks up a brake. There is Prost.
And Warwick's car is smoking. The right bank of his Lamborghini V12 engine is pouring smoke out. Now, whether that's again an oil leak or whether it's something internal, it looks to me like it's a little bit of oil dribbling onto the exhaust, but it's something that Martin Donnelly behind will be able to see and may well be able to take advantage of if the Lamborghini engine in Warwick's car doesn't make the distance.
Of course, 3 of the front runners already out. Senna with that early puncture, Boutsen with a gearbox failure, and Mansell with the engine. Perhaps it was caused by grass in the radiators after that massive spin. We've heard from Matthew Lorenzo that he is very unhappy with his friend, he says, Gerhard Berger. Meanwhile, it really is now between Berger and Patrese, the gap 0.4 of a second. This is the 51st lap of 61. There is Riccardo Patrese.
In the lead.
In the lead.
Patrese is now ahead of Gerhard Berger. Something happened at the park of the circuit we didn't see.
In fact, the gap 1.4 seconds. Patrese leads.
A gaggle of cars here with Nannini and Prost caught in behind Barilla's Minardi. Prost looking for a way to take advantage of the slipstream he's going to get from Nannini's Benetton, but not really. No, there's no opportunity for any of these guys running third and fourth to pass.
Patrese leads Berger and Prost. Another lead change here at Imola. Patrese, Berger, Nannini, Prost, Piquet and Alesi. That is a good battle there. Nannini charging hard. Laps to go. Nannini sits quite low in that cockpit, John.
Yes, but the new Benetton also has got a very high frontal aspect. The car, the shape of the car has changed quite a lot since the 89 car we saw in the first 2 races of this season. It's also quite a quick car in a straight line, and as you see, Alan Prost isn't really close enough to Nannini at this point to offer any threat to him. The biggest advantage he seemed to have was in the traffic, and he wasn't able to take advantage of that. But the main battle really going on is between Derek Warwick and Martin Donnelly in the 2 Lotuses. They're just out of the camera shot, and they're really having a major scrap.
But let's not forget the Cannon Williams of Patrese, who is leading the motor race. You weren't able to see exactly what happened there. When I first saw the shot just as they came past the pits, I really couldn't believe my eyes. So we hadn't seen the move. And there is Patrese going very well. Perhaps Gerhard had a little problem.
And he seems to be able to pull away really quite comfortably at this point in the race. Something Gerhard's car is not right. And Patrese is able to open that gap. It's probably up to 2 seconds by now.
Yeah, we'll watch the gap too between Berger and Nannini. The Prost, of course, on Nannini's tail. Piquet in 5th spot, clipped a little bit by his teammate Nannini this weekend. Piquet certainly looking as if he's going to make it 3 finishes in a row. And 3 finishes in the top 6. There's Berger. 2nd place, 2.2 seconds the gap now. Leto drones past. He's the man with the broken exhaust. Close up on Riccardo Patrese.
He really looks quite comfortable now in the car. He's not really having to use all the track in these slowish corners, and seems to be very much in control of himself, which is very important at this point of a race. It's easy sometimes when you get the lead to try and extend it very quickly, but he's extending it in a very comfortable and mature, as you'd expect with a guy with 195 Grand Prix behind him, fashion.
With only 2 wins, and both of them, I have to say, a little lucky. The win in South Africa, really, that was a race where Nelson Piquet, who was driving with him in the Brabham team at that time, really just had to finish to clinch the World Championship. And the previous race at Monaco that he won, he actually stopped just near the end, and has been suggested he was actually push-started, which was illegal. I don't know, perhaps he just ran it down the hill and bump-started it. You were in that race, of course, John.
Well, the only thing I'll say about that is, as far as record books are concerned, they only just say Riccardo Patrese won in Monaco and South Africa. If they had to give an explanation, well, it would maybe be a different story, but he certainly deserves more victories from the number of Grand Prix he's taken part in, and he is undoubtedly the most experienced Grand Prix driver in the history of Formula One racing and Formula One World Championships.
Prost on lap 42 recorded the fastest lap so far, 1:27.260. That's a new lap record for the Imola track, but considerably slower, of course, than the qualifying lap. That sensational lap by Senna. Patrese leads Berger, Nannini, Prost, Piquet, Alesi, Warwick and Donnelly. Nicola Laurini is up to 11th spot. Barilla is 12th. Philip Alliot is 9th, Bernard 10th. Well, we'll be going for a very short break. Great excitement, then come back to us for the final few laps. Can Patrese do it? Stay with us on Eurosport. Nannini is 12 seconds back in 3rd spot. Just put in a quick one though, 1:27.7. Then it's Prost, Piquet, Alesi and Warwick still in front of his teammate Donnelly. The Ferrari flags still wave. And Gruyard comes into the pits. Has a late problem. Gruyard, who is running at the back of the field. A race in which Senna, of course, went out on lap 3. Boutsen, teammate of the man who is winning this race, out on lap 18 with a gearbox problem. Mansell out with a blown engine. 5 laps to go. Just caught a sight there of the leader. There's the man still hoping to catch him up again. We still really don't understand what happened with Gerhard Berger. John, any more ideas on that?
The only thing I can think of is that there was traffic at some part of a lap whereby Berger had a shot at passing and didn't get through, or there's some other mechanical problem we're not yet aware of.
And still a good old battle there for 3rd spot, Nannini and Prost, still running very close together. Patrese, the gap now 3.3 seconds after the end of lap 56. They are on their 57th of 61. Prost making a big charge now for the podium.
Prost seems to be able to catch up to Nannini at different parts of the lap. He drops back, then he pulls back up to him again, and he's really hit a very quick lap his last lap, and he's back to within less than a second of Nannini's Benetton.
Just about to pass Alesi. Three and a half seconds now, the difference between Patrese and Berger. Nannini's 3rd, Prost 4th. Still that battle continues. Will Prost have a game plan here, John, do you think?
Alan Prost is a very experienced, cautious, canny driver. But as he's closing up through that second part of the Ecco rally, but of course to get past Nannini is not going to be easy. The speed of the two cars in the straight is similar, so the advantage is going to come through possibly traffic or a mistake in the part of Nannini in trying to prevent Prost passing. But Prost is going to have a little sniff. He's not renowned for his audacious overtaking manoeuvres. He's very much a percentage driver these days. If this was 6 years ago, Prost would have been driving with the back wing of Nannini's Benetton, but since then he's matured and settled down into being a very, very thoughtful driver, and he will weigh up every opportunity, every possibility before he actually commits himself to it.
3 laps to go. And the gap has come down between Patrese and Berger, 2.8 seconds. In fact, Gerhard took 7/10 of a second off Patrese that lap. Nannini is third, Prost still fourth. That battle you see on the screen. Our Italian director still focusing on the Ferrari. We'd like to see what's happening between Patrese and Berger. Just about 2 lengths behind, or about a bit closer there.
Yes, he seems through that section of circuit. Prost and his Ferrari are undoubtedly quicker than Nannini.
I think I just saw Eric Bernard going very slowly there, flash of him. Possibly run out of fuel.
The fuel is always, again, a problem at Imola. Although these cars have no limitations on the fuel capacity these days, the limitation is within the design of the car. So they design a car with the smallest fuel tank they can exist with, and of course at Imola, where fuel consumption is very high, they may well be paying a penalty for that.
The gap has increased now between Patrese and Berger. It's gone to 3.7 seconds. In fact, Patrese a whole second a lap quicker that time than his pursuer Berger.
That really did. Oh yeah, there's the Eric Bernard's Lola Lamborghini out of the race beside of the track.
Disappointment for him.
And really there seems to be no difference between the performance of the V8 Ford engine in the Benetton and the V12 Ferrari engine in the Ferrari, so that's, I think, very encouraging for the Ford people, but probably somewhat disappointing for Ferrari. The V12 really ought to be capable of out-sprinting the Benetton down the straight.
Patrese, Berger, Nannini 9 seconds behind Berger. Prost up his gearbox. And it's Piquet, he's 38 seconds behind Prost, then Alesi, Warwick and Donnelly. Those 2 Lotus Lamborghinis run strongly but aren't going to make it into the points, it appears.
But it's a very promising show because with the troubled start of the season Lotus have had, to have their 2 cars running, even though it is 7th and 8th position, reliability is really what Formula One racing is about. Get the reliability and then you can work in the performance.
Well, Patrese on his last lap, we didn't see him go on to it, and Gerhard Berger's dropped right back. A 1:32-minute lap then. Patrese and Berger 6 seconds between them, and Nannini is only 4 seconds behind Berger. There we see the leader, the pressure off him now. But what about Berger? Is he in trouble?
Well, I think Berger's maybe another one who's in the fuel problem situation. He's got a fuel readout on the car, and they can tell him how fast he is allowed to go. At this stage in the race, there's only maybe less than a gallon in the fuel tank, and he may well have to consolidate rather than continue the attack on Patrese. But of course, Nannini, charging as he is, could well become a threat to Berger's second place.
And has just got a new fastest lap on the very last lap of the penultimate lap of the race, 1:27.156. Riccardo Patrese heading for home, charging down the hill now towards Rivazza. Look at the oil on the front of his helmet. That probably came out of Nigel Mansell's car. Heading for his 3rd ever career victory out of 195 starts. It's going to be his best win to date, no question of that. A great fillip for Frank Williams and all the team. Riccardo Patrese wins in front of a home crowd. He raises a hand, slows down. Gerhard Berger just makes it second. Third, Nannini, just 1.1 seconds behind. Then Prost, just behind him. Second, third and fourth in a blanket finish. It'll be Nelson Piquet coming home in fifth spot. Quick calculations show that Ayrton Senna still leads the World Championship. John, your comments on that race?
Well, I think it's a race full of incident, particularly at the front, and the thing that I think that stands out in everybody's memory will be Berger's move on Nigel Mansell. He tried to block Mansell from passing him, but he didn't just block him, he drove him blatantly, drove him off the road, and that's something a driver such as Gerhard Berger should never ever be seen to do or consider doing. I don't believe, though, that he did it with the intent of putting Mansell out of the race in such a spectacular way. It was probably, in his mind, he thought Mansell would back off, but Nigel was too far forward to back off. He had no choice. He was then forced onto the grass, and really we have to thank your lucky stars, let's say, that Nigel Mansell was able to control the spin, and he controlled that spin absolutely magnificently.
Confirmation of the result. John Patrese the winner by 5 seconds from Berger, Nannini, Prost, Piquet and Alesi. Warwick did finish 7th and Martin Donnelly was 8th. And I'm absolutely delighted with that win. Such a nice chap, Riccardo Patrese. Was painted as a bit of a bad boy in the early days, but now a mature man, father of twins, model train collector. There you see the positions. Berger, Nannini, Prost, just at 1.7 seconds separating them after 61 torrid laps round here, just to complete the roundup of finishers. Alio came in 9th, Larini was 10th, Barilla made it in 11th place, and Leto, with that dreadful sounding Onyx, he came home in 12th spot. We've worked out the World Championship position. Senna does still lead with 13, Berger has 12, so does Prost. Patrese jumps up to 4th spot with 9, Alesi 7, got a point again of course, Boutsen 6 and Piquet 6. There you see them on the caption. Just beat that, John. And look at that.
I think we're looking forward to, I mean, first of all, we had a really good Imola Grand Prix. But what's really most important is that the future for this season looks extremely exciting indeed. We've got 3 teams that have won Grand Prix in the first 3 Grand Prix. Now, we haven't seen that for a very long time.
Yes.
And also the Benetton Fords, they are also really just on the edge of that top 3 teams. So as the season goes on, I think we're going to see real motor racing, something that hasn't been available to the viewers and to the fans for such a long time.
They're the championship points. McLaren Honda 25 and Williams Renault now 15 points. We're still quite a long way back. The next race, John, of course, is Monaco, the blue ribbon event in the World Championship, although of course it counts for just the same number of points. And there I think we could see a rather different result, and that is one place where some of the lower powered cars, the Tyrrells if you will, could be in with a chance. I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing John Alesi there as the helicopter goes over the medical centre. Those cars coming through now into the scrutineering area. Perhaps just describe to us what happens at the end of a race, because you really are sort of corralled a little bit, aren't you? Yes,
after the race is finished, all the cars are taken into a parc fermé, where then the scrutineers will check the validity of the cars to see if there are any irregularities. Riccardo Patrese getting out of his... Look at that, the guy is absolutely elated.
Probably doesn't even know the guy he's hugging either.
Well, it doesn't really matter. He's had a hard career, a long career, and that's a sweet victory. That's a really, really great victory for Patrese.
Superb victory.
But of course, now he's got to wait. You know, the cars will be checked by the scrutineers, and sometimes things happen in a race. I mean, when 2 cars bump, such as Senna, or Mansell and a Cesaris, things can move. Wings can be damaged. They can be pushed from being legal to being illegal. So now there's always that nervous 1 hour wait until the car is passed as being legal.
And it was at this circuit, of course, that Alain Prost won a race and was subsequently disqualified for being underweight.
Yes, weight's a very important part. The cars must weigh no less than 505 kilograms. So 1 kilogram below that would mean an immediate disqualification. So everything has to be worked out extremely closely and carefully by the teams.
Well, we're going to have a look at that Mansell Berger incident. John, what did you think of all that?
Well, Mansell was so well placed coming out of the Tamburello corner. He did everything right. He pulled out of the corner, went to the left, but then Berger decided that he was going to shut the door and prevent Mansell passing, and as you see, the most awful incident, something I think was quite disgraceful. Berger, I'm sure, will be extremely apologetic about it.
You still see the crowds, they'll be rushing to get out all around this Imola area, a lot of wine growing area. In fact, vines right up against the paddock gate almost. They rather favour the fizzy stuff down here, don't they? John Watson, of course, these days, something of a wine expert. He's been delving into his book this weekend and picking some of the better ones as we take a look at the Cup. Matthew Lorenzo reported stitches in Nigel Mansell's head when he talked to him down in the pits. We really can't work that out, John and I, and the only explanation that we can have is that he was so upset at retiring that he banged his head against the garage door or against the wall in the pits. John, apparently 3 stitches in Nigel's head.
Well, I think he might bang your head against the wall when he hears that comment. Really, there was no obvious reason why Nigel would have needed stitches in his head from either of the incidents that he had with De Cesaris and then with Berger. But of course he's been in and had the stitches in place, so maybe something when he got out of the car and he stumbled, we don't know yet.
What a wonderful feeling that must be for Riccardo Patrese.
Of course there was 2 Italians in the top 3. Nannini and the Benetton is also Italian, so while it wasn't a Ferrari victory, which is what the Tifosi came here to see, they've got 2 of their cherished Italian drivers in the top 3. A great result for Italy today.
So the Italian press, of course, will now be braying for Ferrari to sign Patrese. In fact, there has been a little bit of speculation on that.
Maybe, but I wonder who they would replace.
Well, speculation, of course. Very wild, but speculation that Nigel Mansell may return to Williams. Of course, he does keep disappearing into their motorhome. You and I know it's because that's where you get the best tea. But the Italian press have been having a field day with that one too. Some rather special trophies there, and that river running behind. If you're just wondering what that movement is, it's the river that runs alongside the circuit here. Beautiful part of Italy, John. I think we've enjoyed being down here.
Yes, it is. It's always a pleasure for me to come to the Imola circuit, and apart from the racetrack itself, which is what I enjoy, being in Italy, the feeling of the country, the fans, in spite of their fickleness, you know, they swap so quickly. Mansell one day, Prost the next day, but there's just an atmosphere, a feeling about a race in Italy, San Marino as it is for this Grand Prix, that really is quite special, and one I do enjoy coming to regularly.
There's a vineyard, of course. You can see how close they are to the circuit, surrounding the circuit. And let's look at the fans flocking home now. And there's Riccardo Patrese, as well he might, a grin from ear to ear. He's really delighted with that.
I would say this is probably one of the most popular wins for quite a long time. Riccardo is, he's a veteran, although he's only 36, but he's been in Grand Prix racing an awfully long time, and that is a very sweet victory for him. And I hope, in fact, seeing him holding that trophy above his head, I hope that he gets to take that trophy home. I believe that racing drivers should be allowed to take the trophies. I think that having to give it up to the team is something that is rather disappointing.
There are 2 of the trophies, so maybe he does. Married to Susie, of course, his oldest son, or his only son, because he has twin daughters. Interested in tennis, he was telling me the other night. Not interested in motor racing at all, and he's not going to encourage him. I believe Riccardo actually played at Junior Wimbledon. He was very interested in tennis early on before he took to karting. Of course, then I think he won the World Championship in karting. But a great result from Riccardo Patrese. The Williams team will be absolutely over the moon. Nannini, good result from him. Gerhard Berger, last year, of course, he was hospitalised, but miraculously alive after this race. The hat goes, the Goodyear hat, the fans will fight over that. Look at that scramble down there. As our camera pans up back onto the victory rostrum. And a big bottle of champagne, and we know what's going to happen to that. And very quickly, Riccardo pops the cork, and out it sprays. Gerhard Berger received his trophy, now popping the cork of the Moët. What a waste that is.
The trouble, Andrew, is if you take a swig of that stuff after you've had a long Grand Prix like this, it goes straight into the blood system, and it doesn't take very much for you to feel a little bit over the top.
It's pouring the champagne over it. Look, and it's very sticky stuff. I've been
is.
on a few victory rostrums doing interviews in my time.
The worst thing is when it gets in your eyes, it sticks in your eyes and it smarts like crazy. But, I mean, Ricardo, I think there's nothing that will upset him right now. He's absolutely deliriously happy about his result.
Clutching the trophy, the fans down there on the track now. The other Italian Grand Prix, if we could call this one Italian Grand Prix, at Monza, of course. The fans go more wild, don't they?